It used to be that Bitcoin was slow and expensive to transact with, but not anymore. There's a revolution coming to the Bitcoin network, and that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. But if you decide that you want to preserve your privacy and make sure all the data that goes in and out of your computer is encrypted, then check out NordVPN. My affiliate link will give you something like a 2/3 discount on some of their packages. The Keystone wallet is the wallet that you want to be using to keep your crypto safe. Whether you are a Bitcoin maxi or an altcoin lover, it is perfect for you. Easy to use, 3 secure elements, it can support thousands of coins and tokens, and integrates easily with MetaMask, Kepler, and dozens of other extension wallets. Get one now to keep your crypto safe and secure. Go to bit.ly/CryptoRichKeystone. Hi, it is Crypto Rich, working with you to get rich with crypto, filling our pockets with lots and lots of Bitcoin profits, because ultimately it really is all about Bitcoin. And everything else is just a stepping stone for more Bitcoin. Now, before I introduce my guest, please subscribe, follow me on Twitter, CryptoRichYT, join my official Telegram announcements channel, links in the description below. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please leave YouTube. They censor me, they censor others, and come and support my work on bit.ly/CryptoRich3Speak, bit.ly/CryptoRichOdyssey, and bit.ly/CryptoRichRumble. Okay, David and Musket Rich, thank you so much for joining me again. We are going to be talking about Lightning Network and the difference that makes and how it works. But before we do that, and this is our second conversation, we did an earlier video, which I will have posted before this one goes out, which is about Musket, MUSQET.tech, and I'll have the link to that in the description below. Do you want to briefly introduce yourselves and then just say what Musket.tech is, and then we'll get into Lightning?
Yeah, thanks, Rich. Great to be here. My name's David. I'm the CEO and founder of Musket.
And I am the CTO, and my name is also Rich.
So Musket is a merchant payments platform. So we support payments primarily for debit card, credit card, contactless through a single payments device. But the driving force and vision behind Musket and what we're trying to achieve is that we want to see Bitcoin succeed and be adopted as medium of exchange, both in the UK and globally. So we've integrated a single device that merchants can use so that they can process all payments in one place in a way that their staff members, cashiers are used to and familiar with. All of that can also then be catered for online. So e-commerce or online only businesses can use the Musket payment stack. And yeah, we're rolling out in the UK at the moment, hopefully international markets within a year.
Very good, very good. And then the value of, well, I think the value of collecting Bitcoin should be obvious to anybody who's watching this channel or a subscriber to my channel. You can, I mean, I could ask you this question. I think we could ask each other this question. And no matter how much we have, we'd all agree the answer is not enough. The answer is not enough. Should you have bought more Bitcoin when you first came across it? Oh, bloody yes. How much Bitcoin do you have? Not enough. Always be stacking. Okay. Now, the problem with Bitcoin is that it's slow and cumbersome. You know, if I think of like the Ford Model T, it revolutionized transport, step above the horse and carriage, but it was slow and cumbersome and clunky and not as fast as some of the later models. But there is a technology which Musket.tech uses, which makes this Ford Model T like super fast, like a Lambo or something, and that's Lightning Network.
Yes.
Okay, now I am embarrassed to admit that despite me being in this space for over 11 years and hearing about Lightning Network, I don't know what it is. So this is an opportunity for people to find out, well, what is Lightning Network?
Well, in Bitcoin, the people that have engineered it over the last 15 years took a slightly different path to people who have developed other alternative cryptocurrencies. The blockchain is just a distributed database, and it's not really a great database. It's good for one thing, and that's being distributed. And in order for Bitcoin to work, they thought that rather than put
Rich, sorry, excuse me for interrupting you, right? Because I just want to keep breaking it down so it's comprehensible to lay people.
Right.
So big, and what you said, I understand. It is a database, right? But it's not a database where people store all sorts of information. No, it's just the ledger of the transactions that David sent 10 Bitcoin to Musket Rich, who sent 10 Bitcoin to Crypto Rich, who sent 10 Bitcoin to someone else. It's just a series of transactions that just keep being added.
Right.
That's the database you're
in
referring to.
Bitcoin, we try to keep that ledger as small as possible and as simple as possible and as secure as possible. And
Yes.
that means, other coins have tried and made 1-minute blocks, whereas Bitcoin has got 10-minute blocks. Bitcoin is very slow, people say. But if you try to wire money overseas with your bank has to go through some other intermediary bank underneath both bank that's receiving and bank that's sending. So Bitcoin has decided that they're going to build Bitcoin in layers rather than try and make it as fast as possible on the base layer, on the blockchain itself. Then we don't need to have everything on the blockchain going fast, everything recorded on there. So what they did was the first proposal for a layer 2 in Bitcoin is the Lightning channel. The white paper was written, I think, 2014 or 2015, and it only came about due to a soft fork that happened in 2017 that kind of allowed it to happen.
Now, for people who don't know, a soft fork is a change in the code of the Bitcoin blockchain.
Right.
Make some sort of improvements to it.
The nice thing about soft forks as opposed to hard forks is that soft forks are backwards compatible, so that anybody who is running the old Bitcoin software can still run Bitcoin today on their machine. So some person who was from 2012 and went into a coma, their machine's still running in their fallout bunker. Their machine is still running the Bitcoin network, and so soft forks don't break the old software.
Yeah,
they just can't really understand what the new software is doing, but they see it's all valid.
Okay.
So what they did with the layer 2 is the idea. Other coins have account-based models, but I know a lot of the coins that you speak about, like Litecoin, which is derived from Bitcoin, they have a UTXO model, meaning that rather than like a bank account, where you have a bank account and I can send to you on that bank account and the whole world can see how much you've got on that bank account. Ethereum works that way. So we can all look up, if we know the address of someone, we can all look up how much Ethereum they've got. Whereas with Bitcoin, you create a new address every time. So there's a little bit of, if you don't, let me pause on that for a second. Wait, let me redo that. So you create a new address every single time. And that means that we can now create an address together. And this is a 2 of 2 multi-sig, or a multi-sig address, right? So if you and I wanted to have control of money together, we could either do 1 of 2, where you could choose to spend it or I could choose to spend it.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
You would have one key and I would have another key, and either both keys would unlock it or one key could unlock it or the other, depending on the setup.
A shared address.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now what the Lightning Network is it's a series of channels between lots and lots of users. And these channels are just a 2 of 2 multi-sig. So if you and I wanted to make a channel with each other, for example, I wanted to make donations to your channel, to your entertainment and infotainment channel. I wanted to make regular payments, say every month or something like that, and I knew over a year I was going to pay this X amount of money. I could set up a channel with you where it's a joint account, a joint address, and I'm going to give you 1/12 of it each month for the rest of the year as a donation. Now, rather than making all of those 12 payments onto the blockchain, we can just keep that channel open, and I sign over a receipt that says you now have this much of the channel, and I have the remainder that I haven't sent you yet. Okay? And then the next month, I sign over another receipt that says now you have twice what, because I paid you twice. Yeah? Now, we don't have to put any of this on chain, but because you've got those signed receipts, you can go to the chain at any time and say, no, I'm having this and I want it into my cold storage.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
If you do that, then the remainder if you do that, then the remainder that I haven't paid you will go to my address, personal address. So it's just a channel is just a joint address like that.
Right.
But
Okay.
each time a change happens on that channel,
Okay.
then
I'm trying to think of a metaphor so I can get my head around this, right? And
Rich, I can help you out here.
Good.
Let me wind it back and just put Rich's really awesome technical summary into some really simple sort of the way that I think about it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'm not going to insult anyone because this is how I think about it in my simple brain. Is I think of Bitcoin again. I think in the previous video I used Nick Carter's analogy. So I think of Bitcoin as cargo ships transporting enormous value over the ocean. They're big, they're cumbersome, they move slowly. Bitcoin, the base layer, transacts about 6 or 7 transactions per second. The Lightning Network is more akin to the final mile. So that postman sort of taking those goods to your door. Theoretical throughput of the Lightning Network is around about 40 million transactions per second.
40
So
million.
6 to 7 on the base layer, 40 million theoretical if unencumbered. So if it's operating at scale globally, that's how many potentially you could get up to. Compare that to Visa and MasterCard, which is Visa's around about 20 to 25,000 per second. You can see the difference there. 6 to 7 per transaction per second is not big enough for Bitcoin to serve as a medium of exchange, really, certainly for buying everyday goods and services. The Lightning Network, however, at 40 million far surpasses that. Now, we don't have that level of volume on the network yet, so it's not that sort of high. What Rich was also then talking about, and 2 more sort of cliches for you, is if anyone's seen GoldenEye, arguably the best James Bond film of all time, find me. Then in GoldenEye, the way that they activate the 7-ire device is they sort of go up with their 2 keys and they both insert the 2 keys and turn them at the same time. Right, so it's akin to sort of having a 2 of 2 channel open there between the 2 parties, and almost like a bar tab. So the final sort of analogy I've got for you is you go and buy a round of drinks, leave your card at the bar, and you can then charge. And then at the end of that session or whatever you've been up to that evening, all of those transactions are grouped and settled onto the tab in one go. So I think that's how I think about those simple in simple terms. The more technical summary that Rich gave you.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for that. And what I would say to people who are watching this and still grappling with this is, one is we're dealing with a new paradigm. It is a whole new paradigm for money. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are a whole new paradigm for money. And then the Lightning Network is a whole new paradigm. Just when I think, okay, I now understand Bitcoin as money and how I think it works. Oh my God, there's this. How do they do that? How do they do that, right? So it is a whole new paradigm. And it takes something to be familiar and conversant with a whole new paradigm, because what was in the old doesn't fit in the new paradigm. Then also, I don't need to know. I'm just curious, right? But I know how to drive a car. I don't know how the car works. I know that there's coolant in the back of the on the fridge and the freezer. I don't know what it does. I know not to break it, right? And I know how to use the fridge. I put food in there. I take it out later. It's cold. It stays fresh longer. So I know I need to know how to use it. Not necessarily understand all the intricacies, but what I do get from what both of you are saying is that it's a way of, you can take the transactions, you can take microtransactions and sort of accelerate them, and you still have the whole security of using the Bitcoin blockchain, and you have the the sanctity that is of Bitcoin, the ultimate form of, is the hardest asset going, more scarce than gold because it's finite and gold isn't. Well, the gold still is the ultimate form of money, but who knows? One day Bitcoin may supplant that.
Hardest money always wins.
Hardest money always wins, right? It may take a bit of time. Now, what about payments? I mean, how do the miners get paid? Because whenever I send Bitcoin from a regular wallet to another wallet, a little bit goes off to the miners for the work they're doing in updating the blockchain. So what happens with Lightning?
The miners get paid when you open a channel and when you close a channel, because those transactions have to go on chain.
Right.
All the transactions in between, they don't get paid for.
Okay.
And because Bitcoin has really small blocks compared to a lot of other chains, miners are fine with that. They're kept really busy. I think at the moment we've probably got about a 300 block queue that they're still busy with. So they don't really mind that they're missing out on these transactions. They have plenty of work to do.
Okay. Now, is there a risk of the Lightning Network being centralized or being attacked somehow or something?
Yes, there are a few. The thing is, there are chances that the Lightning Network could be centralized, but that doesn't mean that the entire Lightning Network could be centralized. It just means that parts of it could be centralized, and parts of it already are. But it's still permissionless. Nobody can stop you and me and David from forming channels between us and sending payments to each other. So we don't have there. If some parts of it want to be centralized, if some parts of it want to be restrictive, some parts of it want to be expensive, some parts of it want you to show your ID before you can join it, that's fine. There's other parts of it that don't need to be a part of that.
Okay.
That's the
Okay.
beauty of a permissionless network. You
Right.
don't have to ask permission for anyone to join it.
Right. And I suppose it's possible that the Lightning Network that technology could find itself being used on other similar, on other proof of work cryptocurrencies that use I don't want to say it because I don't want to boggle people's minds, the UTXO model, right? Which put very simply is if I'm going to send Musket Rich 10 Bitcoin, then what will happen in the actual transaction, it might look like there's two transactions, one of 7 and one of 5 or whatever, and he ends up with 10 and the other 2 come back into my wallet. That's what happens with a UTXO. And there are other coins that do that. So could the Lightning Network be used on other proof of work UTXOs like Bitcoin Cash or that other one?
Bitcoin Cash didn't want Lightning. They wanted bigger blocks so
Right.
that you could pay with your coffee with Bitcoin on chain. But the problem with that is the blocks would just keep getting bigger and bigger. So where Bitcoin Cash split from Bitcoin was where Bitcoin made the change to enable Lightning. And that meant putting some of the data from a transaction into a separate witness box, which is a bit technical. I can tell you don't really want me to go there. But a lot of the other chains haven't developed this technology, and they don't have an intention to. So they have to other kinds of layer twos. You hear of things like ZK rollups, but I don't think that Lightning would work without the primitives that Bitcoin has now on other chains.
Right. Well, ZK rollups and primitives. Okay, moving on. Right, because it's a little bit, no disrespect to you, Rich, right? No disrespect at all. But it's a little bit like I got into Bitcoin because I wanted to secure my financial future. There's no way I was going to be able to afford a pension given what I do as a child protection social worker. No way at all. And just like, I know I ride a bicycle, I can pretty much fix most bits of a bicycle. I don't need to know everything about the bicycle. I just need to know how to use it. Yeah. What about the privacy issues of Lightning? I heard something that it can obfuscate transactions, because one of the issues for many people about Bitcoin is it's pseudo-anonymous. It's not fully private. You can look into people's wallets. You can see money going in and out and everything. What about the
Lightning Network has pretty good privacy for the payer, because it uses encrypted routing through the network to send messages, i.e. payments. It uses the same thing. I'm not sure if you've heard of the Tor network. It's also known as the dark web sometimes, which sounds scary, but it uses the same technology to make payments as the Tor network does, which is onion routing. For the receiver, the privacy isn't good at the moment, but Bitcoin is constantly being worked on. The Lightning Network is very new, and there's still a lot of features that are coming out. There are a lot of features that are coming out to protect the privacy of the receiver as well. The Lightning Network isn't the ultimate layer, like the top layer that's planned for Bitcoin. The Lightning Network cannot scale to the whole world, and so the way we are thinking of Bitcoin is that the blockchain is the base layer and Lightning is the layer above that, and then we can build other layers that will settle down to Lightning. There are all kinds of really good, although custodial, very good privacy options at the moment in terms of Xiaomi and eCash, which is 100% private. Nobody knows how much you own or what you spend, and you can pay on Lightning with that. So there are privacy options, and of course we've got really good on-chain shared privacy options like Whirlpool, which is sort of a self-custodial coin join, and that will.
And for people who don't know, that's a way of just mixing up the coins and everything, so you can't tell who sent what from where.
Well, each transaction, the coins kind of get melted in a pot together. It's like the three of us all had pound coins. We all threw them into a bucket and we melted them all down, and then we split them, molded them back into pound coins, and we all took one each. Now, we wouldn't be able to know who took which pound coin, who had the previous one, because it's not even the same pound coins. It's right. The atoms have been melted together. So that's the kind of idea with that, and it's impossible to trace that. And it's safe to do that, and it is legal to do that.
Okay.
So there are options for privacy, but it would be much nicer if the privacy on-chain was better. There are reasons why it isn't, and that's why we can improve privacy on higher layers. At some point, governments and states might be using Bitcoin as their reserve asset, and it would be nice to know what they're doing with their money, whereas you and I might be using a higher layer of Lightning or whatever comes in the future, and we might like a little bit of privacy for what we spend our money on, but we would sure like to know what the big guys are spending our money on.
Yes. But actually, they want privacy for themselves and transparency for us, which is what they want, right? Which is the wrong way around.
We're trying to switch it back the right way around.
Yeah. Okay, very good.
Accountable to us.
Now, Lightning Network uses particular wallets, so I can't use Exodus wallet or something. I'd have to send the Bitcoin from my Exodus wallet, not from my hardware wallet, from my Exodus wallet to a Lightning wallet. What are some of the Lightning wallets that are, would you say, are worth looking at?
Currently, Phoenix is the one I would recommend for most experienced crypto people, because they're used to fees and things like that. For someone who is completely new to this and probably just wants to play with £10 and maybe spend it or receive £1, Wallet of Satoshi is very convenient, very easy, and very cheap. However, I wouldn't put a large amount of money in that because it is a completely custodial wallet, so they could take it away at any time. So, but it is very cheap and very convenient. Just don't use it for any savings. Use it like your pocket change that you would spend at the shops.
No, you don't have any crypto, any Bitcoin. You want to keep the large amounts in a hardware wallet. And I do know, and I do have an affiliate link for Keystone, which they do a special Bitcoin Maxi wallet. So that might be something that people want to look at, and they do a multi-currency version as well, which is full of lots of other coins. Okay.
Honorably mentioned Breeze. It's a very good wallet as well.
Sure. And if you give me the links to those, I'll put those in the description below, and people can go check them out. Anything else you guys want to say about Lightning that we haven't covered?
No, I think the easy, again, just to simplify it, perhaps for some people that this is a new concept for, is think about it in layers. You've got, in the same way that you might think about the internet. There is a copper cable or a fiber cable under the street, and that comes into your home. So if you think there is something called the 7-layer model of telecommunications, which is useful to look into. But to simplify that even more, you have a physical infrastructure that then terminates at a router or a modem, and then creates networks. So you can tap into that, and then there's application layers on top. So it all starts with a base layer of infrastructure, and then improvements and enhancements can come later, which unlock other capabilities. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see with Bitcoin. The base layer will remain, will always be there, hopefully, for significant high value transactions. But as Rich said quite rightly, where there's not necessarily significant value, the miners are already busy, then it makes sense to process all of these low value transactions at one go, and that's where the Lightning Network comes in.
Great. Okay.
I would just like to say as well, from a very high level technological point of view, if you think back to when the internet started in like the 70s and 80s as a sort of DARPA project, and then really got started, it was about 14 or 15 years to the mid 90s where people started getting the internet in their homes with squeaky loud modems. For those of us old enough to remember.
Yeah.
But that's about where we are with Bitcoin, is we're in those old modem days. And
you can use
Bitcoin is going to be ubiquitous and everywhere in the next 30 years. We're just in the 1994, old squeaky modem days.
Yes.
We're doing our best, but it's slow building the future.
Yeah, which is a really, really good point, because people think that, I'm too late for Bitcoin. Oh my God, you are still early. You are still early. And the great thing about the project that you're setting up is it makes the use of Bitcoin, your commitment to make the use of Bitcoin ubiquitous and universal by incorporating the Lightning Network within your payment app. And if people want to find out about that, they should check out the website which is musket.tech, and also check out the previous video that I did with both of you about that project. Thank you both very much. Really, really appreciate it. Anybody have any comments or questions about Lightning or about Musket or about Bitcoin, put them in the description below. And between now and I see you next, please keep filling your pockets with Bitcoin profits. I can't say Bitcoin crypto rich with these guys because they're Bitcoin maxis. This is Bitcoin Rich and Bitcoin David signing out. All the best. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.